Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to be discussing using your website as your show house. How you can take your models that you typically would walk someone through and the actual home, and how we can make that better on your website. Instead of just showing sample floor plans, a picture of an elevation, how can we make it interactive? How can we immerse your site visitors so that they visit those pages longer, increasing your Google Analytics stats, and ensure that they understand what they're buying and get excited about that purchase journey? So, we're going to be looking at a sample website that we've mocked up for you for what you can do with the tools that you have from CADSoft to create that interactive environment. So your visitors are visiting the show home and they understand exactly what you're giving them. So on this page right now that you can see, I've built out a virtual showroom. So these are all of the different projects and floor plans that a potential buyer could view and look at. I've just organized them by their names, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. You can see that. And under each one, we've put a little button that you can um, view the project. So I can see all the different projects that I can view. So I've got my Declan, my mid-century, the villa, contemporary, and Spanish project here. And each one of those projects is like a little container. So right now I'm just showing the front elevation, a picture to get them, oh, that's the kind of style I'm going for. Am I more contemporary or am I mid-century or more traditional or contemporary style or Spanish style? Just try to give a variety of different styles, and whatever the visitor, the web visitor that you have, whatever speaks to them, whatever style, they can pick on that. And sometimes it's that curb appeal that originally resonates with them. They see that front elevation, and that's the style that I like. It's not necessarily a floor plan, because reading a floor plan will get the flow of the style, but not everyone's really good at catching in on that either. They can't read a floor plan as well as they can visually see the elevation and the style. So I always start off any type of show home site with the front elevation, because that's that curb appeal. It's that style that we're asking them to pick. And the reason I've done these different styles is because you can get analytics from that as well. So when you're arranging the different styles on your website, you might be inclined to say, okay, here's all our bungalows, here are all our two stories. But if you give a mix right off the bat, like we've done here with a contemporary style, a mid-century, a traditional, two stories mixed with bungalows, instantly they can see those, five different plans on the site and they'll pick on one. So from that initial pick, you can see where more people are going first. You can also, of course, use different options at the top to narrow down the choices. I want to look at all the bungalows that you have and that are in a modern style. Using those at the top to help narrow down the choices. If you have hundreds of plans to choose from, a great idea. Because it keeps them interested and they don't have to scroll through all these different designs. Of course, scrolling through designs is helpful for you. They're on your site longer, but you really want to make sure that it's an efficient use of their time and not just scrolling through things where they're going to get eventually annoyed trying to find something. But if you have a small collection, make sure that the collection just isn't laid out with one style right after and then the next style. Mix up those styles so that they can see the selections and the styles and start picking. And that's going to instantly tell you that your site visitors are drawn more towards a contemporary style, traditional style, or mid-century style. So always try to think when you're laying out the different showrooms on your site as well, try to be strategic in how you're laying them out, so that you can get some good analytics and good insight from all of your visitors about what's popular right now. Okay, so I'm going to view the project of the mid-century, and I actually have it open on a separate tab here. So when you pick on any one of those buttons, it's going to bring you in to see that style, that actual plan on the website that you've selected. So here is the floor plan of that mid-century home. And you'll notice that there are 3D buttons on certain areas. So if I click on that 3D button, what it does is it opens up a 360 view. So I can see what it looks like from the front door and looking around that plan in the living room and the sunroom area. So I can kind of virtually see what is this going to look like when I step inside. Try to move that slower for you. So you get that idea. And then we've always put up in the right-hand corner here a button to share. Statistics tell us that when someone's making a major purchase, that they want to get the opinions of others before they make that major purchase. That might be a spouse, a loved one, a friend, or a group of people to help them make that decision. So sharing is important so that they can bring people back here and say, hey, what do you think of this plan? This is what I'm thinking of. And they can get their feedback and ideas. Sharing also helps you. It brings more people back to your site so that they can see the actual plans that they're looking on as well. So it helps the buyer in their journey to be able to narrow down and get feedback from others to make that major decision in their life and that purchase. And it helps you to bring people there as well. So they can go into all these different 360 views and take a look around the plan so they know what it's going to look like. And those are helpful again so that they can visualize what it's going to look like and get ideas from there. Over to the left-hand side, we've also given some different tools. Watch the garage here. I'm going to say I want to customize this plan and see what it was going to look like if it was a 3-car garage. So if you have options, if you have a base plan and then you have options, this is a great way of showing those options as well. Outline those options here to the left so they can see what they are and how that's going to affect the overall floor plan. They might be on a restricted site. So if they had Lock 554 in mind, this mid-century you can see is a very wide plan. It's not going to be housed well on a lot of different sites unless it is a very large site. So when they start adding on that 3-car garage, they want to make sure it's going to the back, not more to the side, if they're in a tight lot situation. The other thing that you can see over here is that we have these little floor plan views. So if they want to see the actual floor plan, a digital floor plan, we'll put that up on the screen as well. Because then they can see that view. And if you're someone like me, I like to see a floor plan. I've worked with them all my life. I like to be able to envision the flow, and I like that blueprint view of them as well, so I can kind of visualize, and I'm used to that. So some people might prefer to have a simple blueprint view in front of them so that they can see all of the different features of the home. I can walk in the front door. There's a staircase down. There's my open area here, living room, kitchen, dining room. That looks like a butler's pantry here, laundry, bathroom, other bathrooms over here as well in my garage. So I get to see and understand that. The other one you see here is edit this design. I don't know if I've ever found a plan when I'm looking at different floor plans on the internet, and I do it quite a lot because it interests me. If I've ever found that perfect floor plan yet. Something that I would say 100%, I would not change anything. I'm 100% going to change something on that plan every single time. Whether it's just moving a wall or a huge reconfigure because of the flow and how it works for me, or if it's just simply updating colors and styles inside of it. There's always something that I want to be able to tweak. And that becomes kind of a bottleneck in your business as well. When someone wants to change a plan, what happens? Well, you have to send that back to drafting. and it's going to take them time to change those plans. And then you have to send that back over to the customer so that they can take a look at it. And depending on that side of your business, if you're outsourcing your drafting work or you're doing it in-house and how busy you are at that time of year, that can slow this right down. What about giving that control back to the customer, the homeowner? Okay, you want to make some changes. You want to edit this design. What are you thinking? What are the edits that you want to make? I mean, you could give them this 2D floor plan and like how many times you've seen it before, they print this out and they start redlining it and showing you the changes. And then you have to take that to drafting so that they can interpret that and all the little notes and everything that they put on. So there's another way that we can get them to edit that design as well. So when we hit edit this design, this is going to fire up Personal Architect. And Personal Architect is a cloud-based design tool. So it brings them into that project in a cloud-based environment where they can start to make changes. Now, those changes are something you can limit as well. So you can let them have a free-for-all. Here's your copy, because when you hit, if I go back here, edit this design, what it's doing is actually opening up a copy of that plan. It's not opening up your original. There's no worries that they're going to hack it up and change it forever on you. It opens up a copy. And in their particular copy, you can give them limited controls. We can mark off that certain walls cannot be moved. Those are a structural wall. It's going to be very expensive. And in this plan, we don't want you moving that. Or you can free for all, let them move things around and change things. So it depends on how much you allow your customers to change items that you can stop them from doing that. And that's a setting in Personal Architect. So when you save the file and you ultimately point it to it. So up here, this is actually just pointing. If you look down the lower left-hand screen, it says https designer.personalarch, and it's sharing that link. That's the actual link to this file. So this file was created, and one of the settings in it was I let them move the walls around. But in your settings for your files, you can say, don't let them move the walls around. Absolutely not. We need them to stay within the confines of the actual footprint of this floor plan. And then from here, they can go in and start making changes. So I can do that in this 2D view. So if I came in here to this main bathroom, you can see there's a wall that divides the washroom. So it's almost like it's going to be a powder room when guests are over. There's a little door here to divide over the wet portions of the bathroom. So we're hiding the tub and an extra sink in there. So it's used as a powder room for our guests, but it's also the main washroom for the two bedrooms that are across the hall. So we'll keep their wet towels and everything hidden away when our guests are over. Maybe you don't like that arrangement. Maybe you would like to see this all reconfigured. So you want to, move the tub and move the sinks. You can do that. You can bring these down and move them around and come up with an entirely different situation and layout for that bathroom if you want to. Or simply just changing the materials. We can see the tile on the floor. Perhaps the tile in this ensuite bathroom is a bit too loud for you. When you come over here to materials, this will produce your options, what options you want your clients to be able to pick from. So right now I have lots of different tile options that are available, but you could narrow down those choices so that in this particular plan, it's only available in this particular neighborhood. And in this particular neighborhood, we have these 10 finishes that are available. And you could show those available styles for this plan. Or you could open that up and let them pick what they want, and whatever choices they need, you could narrow down those selections for them or have them have multiple selections and you'll just deal with that. So I could pick this green hexagon penny tile and put it in that room instead. And I can see what it's going to look like. I zoom in closer, I can see the penny tiles on the floor. Okay, so giving them just material options as well um, allows them to kind of personalize it and feel like this is my home, not just a home I found on your website that's going to work for, 100 other couples out there. This one suits me and my living style, and these are the design choices that I would make inside this home. You'll notice over on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a 3D button. So I can go in to 3D and start walking around the rooms. So I can go in and not just that 360 that we initially had on the showroom site, but I'm in and I'm walking around. So I can come right up to the sink and look out to the backyard. And what's it going to look like if I'm looking out into that backyard? And this is where I could start making changes as well. I've got two small windows here. I don't like that. I like a nice larger window. So I'm going to delete those windows out, come back over here to furnish and select different windows and come along. I want them to be 36 inches deep, but I want them to be wider than what is there already. So maybe a 24 by 24, 30 by 30. There's all different sizes that you can see in here and that we can use. I'll use this 36 by 36 and bring it right over the kitchen sink there and drop it down. Or I can even customize and create a custom window, depending on what you allow them to do. So at the very top, we do have an option there for custom. So if they did want a wide, large window there, they could start describing that window. All of that obviously comes with a price tag, and you're going to have to do the material list on that once they make those changes. As they are introducing new materials or changing things on the plan itself as well, up here at the top can be hidden from them, or you can make it visible. There is a cart option, so you can see the extra items that they've put in. And those items, if you wanted them to, could have a price tag set to them too. So if I look at that window and look at its information, there's going to be a backend database that feeds all of this information. And in there, that's where I can add in the SKU code, the manufacturer. I could put a price to that, any kind of information that you want to relay here. We can edit this catalog information to show whatever information you want to see. So if this was an upgrade, when they've picked it from the window, you could have it in there plus $500. If you're changing the plan and inserting this window, that's a $500 upcharge for this particular window. So each one can have, different information. You can actually play it and watch it, how it operates too. So they get that view and understanding of everything about the option that they're changing and inserting into the plan. Is it worth the extra $500 or not? Okay. We also have a full height of the tile on this wall, just trying to get the whole view there. So when I pick on that wall, you see how it gets kind of shaded green there. And down at the bottom, I can say I want multiple finishes on that wall. And I want to show all the objects that are there. I want to see that countertop. So for this wall, I'm going to divide it up. So the tile stops right at the countertop height there. So I'm going to say, yep, there's no tile below there. And halfway up the window here, see I've got dimensions along the side here. I can change those dimensions, just double clicking on them to make them whatever height and size that I want them to be. Right now it's 3 foot 8 and 5/8. If I want that to be, 4 foot from the top, I can stop that right there and say, yes, I want that division right there. And then through this material paintbrush, this is where I can say at the top above there, let's paint that. And I'm going to paint that pale navy at the top. Okay, and then say save that. Let's take a look. And there is my wall done half tile and then half pale navy at the top of it. So I can visually see, do I like that? Do I not like that? If I don't like that, I can push undo and remove that too. So it's not part of my design. And then we can get quantities with that. So with the designer here, I'm just going to put my feet back on and start walking around again. I can walk through the entire home. and understand the footprint of it, walk down the hallway. Even this vantage point is really telling. When you're navigating through a plan and be able to walk yourself, you see how long that hallway is. And does that appeal to someone? Does it not appeal to someone? Is the stage of life that person's in? Is the hallway wide enough? Are they thinking of aging in place? Do I need to make this a little bit wider? This particular hallway, I believe, is about 3 feet wide. Do they want that 4 foot wide? Do they want it to be a shorter plan? It is, as I said, a long plan, but they can walk that space and begin to understand what it's going to look like and the materials. So in here, I've already done some playing. You can maybe remember our original, if I go back to the inspiration and the 360 view, we had done it in some navies and gave it a more masculine feel, with some, mid-century modern furniture in here. But in our new one, I played with different colors, tried out different furniture layouts, and just by being in here, it allows me to do that. So I can go back and say, you know what, I did like the navy. Let's paint the walls, see what they look like when they're navy. Pick on all of the different walls here. I'm just going to pick on this one here as well, and this one over here, and paint that navy. Okay, and you're not just stuck with just paint colors and tile. There are wallpapers in here. I'll stick with the word hail out of there. You can search for different things as well. So if there's some certain color that you're looking for, always use our search bar, and that allows you to go through and search for different items and then add them in as you need to, whatever styles you want, and give it whatever look and feel you want. That's the power you can give and hand over to your clients when they're visiting your website. Now, we've been here for 22 minutes. That means that someone's been on my site doing that exact same simple tour for 22 minutes. Imagine what that does to your Google Analytics with them walking through and being able to modify and change everything as they need to. Once they've saved that, you can see my name is Chantel, and this is my file. I can share this with someone, just like I shared it up on the site and someone's opening this copy. And it's not just opening a copy. I could invite you into this space as well. So someone opens up and starts making some edits, the Jones family. And then the Jones family wants to meet with one of your representatives that works for your company to go over their finalized design. So on your end, you can see the Jones project. It's sitting up there in their locker, and they invite you in, and you can come up and at the same time, both are in there. So while you're in 3D working together, I'll just get us back into our kitchen view here, walk back down the hallway, get in here. That's when you can have that discussion about finishes and upgrades together. So you could have someone in your sales team and the Joneses sitting together, walking through the file together. They're both interacting. Someone can point to the faucet and ask information about the faucet, while at the same time the salesperson is picking on one of the cabinets and talking about the cabinets. So it's a very interactive, together, collaborative experience that they're having. And then when that's done and they save that file, and perhaps you've let them move walls, you've let them make changes, this has to go back to your drafting team to say, okay, they've made these changes. Here's the changes. We got to now whip up some working drawings for this to get permits. What we've done in our Envisioneer software is allowed that to happen. So I'm just going to switch my screens again. And I'm in our Construction Suite software. So in our Construction Suite software, it is not in the cloud. So it can do the heavy lifting that you need it to do. So in the cloud, we've tried to keep our Personal Architect software that we are just in very simple, so that a homeowner without drafting skills can go up and feel confident in changing things around and moving things and navigate themselves through the entire process. In Construction Suite, this is very much a BIM software. It is meant to collect material lists and send them off to ERP systems and point of sale systems And it's meant for working drawings, automatic elevation, sections, details, dimensions, all of that heavyweight stuff that you need it to do to be able to get your permits and actually build the home. We've made a portal so that anything that you've drawn up in Personal Architect online, you can open that here. So I can open up their plan. And when I open up their plan, I can start navigating and adding things to it. Now, this particular project is the original. It has a roof on it. When you're in Personal Architect online, it does not have capabilities for roofs. It is simply the floor plan. So in here, I've already added those extra things into it. But I could open up their plan and start moving and recognizing the changes that they've made and put back on the roof that's over here. So I can select from the original, and you see how we have different options that we can cut, copy, and paste. So I can say to the clipboard, copy this roof and send it over to the new Jones project and all of those different items. So we can copy from one to the next or copy their plan into here and see what changes they've made and that what we have to update. So you have those options that even though we've starting from the beginning, bringing ourselves back to our website view, they picked this mid-century home. You can see that matches my construction suite model exactly. We drew it up there, we brought it up here, and allowed people to go into 360 views, which we created in Construction Suite, and created this floor plan in Construction Suite. And then when we want to share that copy for a homeowner, and we hit the edit the design, that's when we come into this lightweight 3D visualizer that allows them to, on any device that they're on, because it's cloud-based, they can go up and start manipulating that design. Save it, and then you can open that back up into Construction Suite so you can begin to create your working drawings and your new bill of materials depending on the changes that they've made. So that showroom that you're creating can be much more intelligent. You can grab so much information from here, other than just being a simple floor plan and an elevation. Make sure that it's interactive. Make sure you're giving them something to do. Everybody wants something to do. Let them immerse themselves and walk through the floor plans. Let them look at those 360 views. Let them choose the different styles. And as they're doing all of that, on the background, you're collecting all of that data. All of that data about what styles are most popular based on someone's IP address. And if everybody in the Western region is choosing the Declan, it's contemporary, but everybody on the Eastern seaboard is choosing the Villa, it's more traditional. You'll start to get that stats. So when you're building out and coming up with new floor plans and always innovating your styles, you'll know what the market is ready for and what they actually prefer in their choices. And it could be that maybe everybody likes the contemporary style. They just don't like that stone and that siding. You'll get to know that when they come in to the actual model and start looking at it and say, edit this design. And if you see every time someone's opened up the mid-century modern that they've went through and changed the bedroom that was blue to orange, or the kitchen cabinetry from dark cabinets to light cabinets, that tells you a trend as well. That although you have a good flow, a good plan, it's not the materials that they would choose. So you can update the styles right here in the showroom. So instead of having an actual show home where you'd have to repaint everything, rip up the floors, change the floors, the styles, here it's just a click of the button. Nobody seems to like this flooring. We need to change the hardwood flooring. The trend is going towards a lighter flooring, or the trend is going towards tile in that certain area. You pick the new flooring and lay that down, and then watch the analytics again. One thing that you can also do in your overall view of all of your homes is, here's the Declan. It's done with stone. It's done with wood siding. Copy the Declan, call it the Steve, and use stucco and use an alternate type of finish. And instead of the dark black finishes, choose a different color. It's the same plan, but who's choosing the Declan over the Steve or the Steve over the Declan? It'll tell you about the trends and what you should be doing to all of your elevations and your sections. And it really is in generating these elevations. If I jump back over to Construction Suite, it's really as simple as just grabbing the material paintbrush, grabbing an alternate material. So I'm going to say, okay, what type of stone are we using here? And perhaps choosing something different. We'll go with this stone instead. And grabbing whatever type of siding we have here. That's wood siding. Perhaps instead of siding, we want to go with a stucco instead. So I'm just going to look for finishes here, finishes, and I'm going to say stucco number 2, apply to all similar, apply it to everything that has the wood siding. And maybe that's what you're seeing. That's the choices that people are making. If you find that they're taking the Steve over the Declan and they're choosing more of a river rock and a stucco, you can very easily update the plans, render that 3D view, real view, and update that on your website within minutes. So once you have started collecting data on the showroom, that gives you that insight to know what's popular, what's not popular, and start moving things around. If you find that people are scrolling down and everybody seems to like the Spanish, move it up. Or no one's picking the Declan, even though it's in that number 1 position. And theoretically, that should get picked a lot because it's right there, and people tend to be a little lazy. They'll pick the first one, or the middle one. Move those around. If they're not being picked, it's because people just don't like them. And maybe your floor plans and your elevational views need to be spiced up a little bit. Start playing around with the finishes, start moving windows, readopt those plans, and then send up a new elevation view there. Do your stats go up? Yes. Perfect. You learned something. No, it got worse. Ooh, I went in the opposite way. Let's change that again. Look at those on a monthly basis and use them to your advantage to make sure that your website is telling the stories of everything that you can do really well and the options that you make available, and that you are ahead of the curve in trends and you understand the trends and you're applying that to your floor plans. Don't let it sit there for years and get stagnant and old. Update them, watch the trends, and go through. What I'd like to do now is open up any questions that you might have about everything we talked about today. Starting a showroom, if you haven't started one on your website already to show the different model homes that you have, creating those interactive floor plans so that someone can come through and look at 360 views and add on, one car garage, 3-car garages, and sharing that in an interactive space using our personal architect online. So if you have any questions, post those up now and I'll be able to answer those for you. Okay, first question. Can you build the websites for us? We can. Yeah, absolutely we could. We do have a service team on board at CADsoft that will build the models for you. So if you want someone to create these 3D models for you in Construction Suite so that ultimately you're going to be getting your bill of materials and your working drawings and also recreate them here in the online tool so that people can view them, we can build that for you and supply you with all of those and then set you up a kind of a space just like this one where you can view them. We can mimic this exact site with your information, all of your different plans that you have. Excuse me. Next question. What if the finishes that we offer aren't anything like the finishes that you have? You can bring finishes in. So if I'm back in Construction Suite, where I was choosing and I had selected stucco, if none of the materials you see here are anything that you offer, they're not the brands that you choose, they're not the color schemes that you normally offer, you can bring in your own finishes. So where I had selected stucco number 2, right over there in the catalog, I'm just right clicking in there and saying adding a material. And when I click add a material, it allows me to go out and find a texture file. That's just a JPEG file that I can bring in to represent a different material. So all of your manufacturers that you use typically provide all of those swatches on their website. So you can download those and bring them in and use them here. One word of caution, stucco is easy. I mean, it's just the same pattern because what we do is we take that swatch and we just continuously repeat it along a surface. If you are using something like brick or stone, so if I cancel out of here and look at the stone, that is originally a little swatch. And if you look, you can see that repeat tile. If I take a swatch of that and go back to the original one we had, same thing. It's just repeating that tile. But this one, it's harder to tell that that's repeating because it is what we call a repeatable texture. And it's not a hard line at the edges of the texture that you visibly can see, oh, it's repeated, it's repeated, it's repeated. It blurs the edges. So if you find one and you find it's really obvious that it's been copied over, it's because it's not a repeatable texture. And if you do just a Google search on repeatable textures and how to turn a texture, a JPEG file into a repeatable texture, there's lots of lessons on how to do that outside of the scope of Envisioneer. We bring the textures in, whatever you want to bring in, but it's only as good as what you bring in. So if it's not a good texture, it's not going to look as good as other ones. Do I need both pieces of software? You don't. If I come back out here and say you're using you're using a design service team. So you're outsourcing your drafting to another team, but you still want to be able to give this interactive opportunity to your site visitors so that they have a showroom right on your site. You can just take your elevations and your sections and your elevations and your floor plans and create a site like this and edit the design. And you might only just want to do this portion of it. And then from there, just get them to print it out. And you send that printout over to your drafting team and they can make the changes to whatever CAD package that you're using for your working drawing. So you don't have to have the complete package. You can, I'm just trying to show and illustrate that this portion of it, the interactiveness of allowing someone to walk through in a cloud-based tool is very effective and allows them to really get that feel of what it's like to walk through their home and make the choices that they would make to personalize it and make it their own. So no, you don't have to. Absolutely not. Okay, that seems to answer all of our questions today. I want to thank everyone for taking the opportunity to join us today for the webinar. I appreciate your time and I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us and we'll be able to answer those. You'll be getting a follow-up email from us. We have recorded today's class and you will be able to watch it again. So I hope everyone enjoyed today's class. And I look forward to seeing you in future classes that we hold. We try to hold these every week. And I look forward to seeing you guys again in another class. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye.